The American flag has 13 stripes and 50 stars. You know how I know that? Because Pocket Ronnie helped me with my numbers.
Okay, before we talk about what Pemdas means, I want to look at this problem right here, 2A14. These symbols are absolute value bars. Absolute value bars means the distance from 0. That's exactly what it means. So like if you had a number line and you had 0 here and you had a positive 3 here and you had a negative 3 here, absolute value means the distance from 0. When you're here, you are 3 from 0. When you are here, you are still 3 from 0. So most people, how you remember this is absolute value just means it makes any number positive. If there's a negative number inside here, the absolute value makes the number positive because you're talking about the distance from 0, and we don't talk about distance in negative numbers. We're talking about distance meaning the length from 0, the length from negative 3 to 0 is just 3, a positive 3. Alright, so let's look at this specific problem. You have 3 squared minus 8 squared, the absolute value of that. So you're going to do your exponent first. So you have the absolute value of 9 minus 64, and that's going to be a negative number. So you want the absolute value of negative 55, and the absolute value means any number becomes positive, so this would become a positive 55. That's just a reminder on what absolute value bars are. It makes any number positive. Alright, let's talk about the meaning of PEMDAS. This is order of operations. This is the order that you need to do and that you need to calculate problems. Okay? The P stands for parentheses. Actually, I'm going to write it like this in this order. Parentheses, exponent, multiply or multiplication, addition, wait, I missed one, divide, division, addition, and subtraction. PEMDAS. This is the order that you work problems in. Do parentheses and exponents first. Absolute value bars count as parentheses. So absolute value bars go up here with parentheses. So you do parentheses and exponents first, then you multiply and divide, then you do any addition or subtraction. I like to think of these as levels. Parentheses and exponents are kind of together. You do those sometimes at the same time. Sometimes you need to do your exponent first. Then if there's only multiplication and division left in a problem, or when there is multiplication and division, you do them left to right. The same way as we read, left to right. When you have addition and subtraction together in a problem, you also do them left to right. One is not any better than the other. You do not multiply before you divide. You not divide before you multiply. You do them left to right, whichever one comes first. Alright, so let's look at some of these problems and let's apply this using our orders. Let's look at 2E number 6. 8 plus 45 divided by 9 plus 3. Okay, first we do parentheses or exponents. There are no parentheses or exponents. Now we do any multiplication or division. So it's important to do this first. So you do your 45 divided by 9 first. And so that becomes 8 plus 5 plus 3. Now with all addition left, you do it from left to right. Addition is commutative, so if it's only addition, it doesn't really matter the order, but let's just get in the habit of doing it left to right. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 plus 3, 16. Okay, let's look at 2D number 6. So Pemdas says do parentheses and exponents first. So I'm going to do this exponent here. So 5, I'm just going to rewrite my first part of the problem, then do this, plus 16 minus 7, plus I'm going to do my parentheses. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. So negative 8 divided by 4 would be a negative 2. I can write it like that, or instead of writing plus a negative, I could just write it as minus 2. Because plusing a negative, you're just adding a negative, meaning getting into debt. Alright, Pemdas then says do any multiplication or division. So it's important that we do our multiplication first. So 5 times 3, 15, plus 16 minus 7 minus 2. Now Pemdas says when you have any adding or subtracting left, when you have adding and subtracting, you do those from left to right. So we need to do 15 plus 16 first. That would be 31 minus 7 minus 2. Now we do 31 minus 7. I think that would be 24. Yep. Minus 2. Now we do 24 minus 2, which would be 22. Okay, now let's look at 2D1. And the way I just worked the last problem, I encourage you to do these step by step, just as I did it, okay? If you try to do a lot of steps in your head, you have more chances of making a mistake. Pemdas says do parentheses and exponents first. So therefore, I'm going to do this exponent first. Negative 4 squared. When there's a negative out in front with no parentheses, the negative stays. You do the 4 squared, then leave the negative. So that would be negative 16. Coming over here, you do parentheses first. 7 minus 3 is 4. So that would be plus 4. Then there's my square. Parentheses first. 7 minus 3 is 4 squared. Minus, there's that. Absolute value. Absolute value of negative 2. Absolute value says it's going to be positive. So that is a positive 2. Be careful about these two signs. This subtraction sign stays and goes right there. This becomes the positive 2. We still need to do exponents, parentheses and exponents. And remember, absolute value falls under parentheses. You do those at the same time you do parentheses. So leave my negative 16. Now, a 4 squared is a positive 16 minus 2. Pemdas says when there's addition and subtraction left, you do those left to right. A negative 16, I'm in debt 16. And now I add 16, that's 0. If I'm in debt, I'm in debt 16, someone gives me $16, I'm now back at 0. Actually, I'm in debt 16. Yeah, I said that correctly. So, anyway, so 0 minus 2. If I have nothing and I'm subtracting 2, then I have negative 2 left. Okay, we're looking at 2D number 3. Pemdas says we do parentheses and exponents first. So we have exponent here, so I'm just going to rewrite everything the way it is. 6 squared, 36. Pemdas says to do any multiplication or division. Be careful. This right here is multiplication. Those parentheses imply multiplication. A negative 7 times a negative 2. A negative times a negative is a positive. So it would be negative 19. Negative 7 times negative 2 is a positive 14 plus 36. Pemdas says when you have addition and subtraction left, you do it left to right. So I'm in debt 19. I add 14. So I will still be in debt negative 5. Now you add your negative 5 plus your 36, and that would be a positive 31. Alright, let's look at 2E number 3. These are brackets. Do not mistake those for absolute value bars. They are just another form of parentheses. Once parentheses is used in a problem, then they go to brackets so you don't have double sets of parentheses. So when you have parentheses and brackets, you work from the inside out. So Pemdas says to do parentheses and exponents first. So we're going to do our parentheses. 10 plus 3 is 13, and then you have the squared out here. Minus 9, and that's all in brackets, divided by 20. Now we do our exponents. 13 squared, I'm pretty sure is 169, but I'm going to double check myself. Yep, 169. Minus 9, that is still in brackets. Do not lose those brackets until you have taken care of that. Now you can do this. Brackets is just like parentheses. Still doing parentheses and exponents first. 169 minus 9, 160. Now we don't have to have the brackets anymore because we did everything that's inside them. Divided by 20. $160 divided by 20, 8.